ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते
वासुदेवाय। देवी सरस्वती व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नश्चरायेष्वरत्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते प्रथमश्लोके मुखं करोति वाचालं गङ्गायते गिरिं यत्र भागम् अहं आत्मानन्दमात्रं Bhagavatam and Goswami, chapter 1, Ya Sat Saptanan Vijikshamana Greshu
Nirvishya
Eka
Eka
Purvam
Purvam
Atyeti
Atyeti
Durgashtuta
Durgashita
Uttitarin
Uttitarin
Shineshu
Shineshu
Kamam
Kamam
Vicharet
Vicharet
Vipashchit
Vipashchit
Yasat Sapatnat Vijijikchamano
Yasat Yasat Sapatman Viveshu Viveshu
Shineshu Kamam Vicharet Vipashchit
विचारेन् जीवेषु कामं विचरे विपश्य सपत्नानि जपिष्यमानो गृहेषु निर्विष्टते अत्येति दुर्गाशितौद्धारिन् क्षीणेषु कामं विचरे विपश्य सपत्नानि जपिष्यमानो गृहेषु निर्विष्टते अत्येति दुर्गाशितौद्धारिन् क्षीणेषु कामं विचरे विपश्य
Yeah. Anyone who sat, sick, sapatnan, adversaries, vididikshamana, having entered, must write, Purvam, first, Atyeti, conquered, Durga Ashtrita, being in 45 days, Urtitarin, very strong enemy, to victory, Kamam, lusty desire, Vichare, can go, Vipashit, the most experienced learner. Translation. One who is situated in household life and who systematically conquers his mind and 5 sense organs is like a king in his fortress who conquers his powerful enemies. After one has been trained in household life and his lusty desires have decreased, he can move anywhere without danger. One who is situated in household life and who systematically conquers his mind and 5 sense organs is like a king in his fortress who conquers his powerful enemies. After one has been trained in household life and his lusty desires have decreased, he can move anywhere without danger. Purport. In the Vedic system of 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas, the Vedic system of 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas is very scientific, and its entire purpose is to enable one to control the senses. Before entering household life, Grihastha Ashrama, a student is fully trained to become Jitendriya, a conqueror of senses. Such a matured student is allowed to become a householder. And because he was first trained in conquering his senses, he retires from household life and becomes Vanaprastha as soon as the strong waves of youthful life are past and he reaches the verge of old age at 50 years or slightly more. Then, after being further trained, he accepts sannyasa. He is then fully learned and renounced person who can move anywhere and everywhere without fear of being captivated by material desires. The senses are considered very powerful enemies. As a king in a strong fortress can conquer powerful enemies, so a householder in Grihastha Ashrama, household life, can conquer lusty desires of youth and be very secure when he takes Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. Om Tat Sat. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshursmilitam Dina Sudave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Avishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutri Mayam Rupa Kadamani Padati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sutivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Manitam Shri Radha Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrishabhanu Sri Devi Namani Pariye Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare from Bhagavatam, right? One. This chapter is about how something about how a household life is being managed by a devotee. So, nice conversation between Parikshit and Dev Goswami going on in a very instructive canto. This whole canto is actually very, very instructive. Has some very important teachings. First chapter, we see some very nice instructions given by Dev Goswami upon question by Parikshit Maharaj on which being instructed by Brahma and Indra, Narada. Indra was also called Bandhu, and there are many other personalities that we present trying to instruct Manu. So the question was, I remember, how did Manu execute himself after being trying to detach himself and connected with Krishna, and then further he actually engaged himself in so many material activities, yet able to maintain consciousness, yet able to conquer his mind and senses and still remember the personality of Godhead. So I remember Parikshit Maharaj actually asked the question that how could Manu be able to manage all these things, engage himself, remember Krishna, even while being a householder, which seems to be a very daunting task. Because here in this verse, we can actually see Sukadeva Goswami says that in household life, a person has to very systematically conquer the mind and five senses. And we don't do that, or only if we do that, we can move along anywhere, any place within this material world, even if there are full of dangers. So, a lot of things that we can actually learn from Srimad Bhagavatam, especially this verse. Bhagavatam is especially meant to learn some lessons and apply it in our life. That's the whole purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam, where we see many exalted personalities, many exalted devotees, how they actually applied this Krishna consciousness in their life and how they actually succeeded in their journey of Krishna consciousness. So we can learn and observe many uh, thoughtful activities that devotees, exalted devotees have performed. We can apply them, apply the same thing in our life, and we can try to conquer this great enemies of mind and six senses. Because this mind and senses, they have been constantly misleading us. They are they are the big troublemakers in our life. Like in Bhagavad Gita also, Arjuna asks the question, saying, how does a Sthita Pragya, how does a transcendentalist situate himself even with this senses, with this mind? How does he act? How does he walk? How does he behave himself? Though he is a transcendentalist, exalted person, still he has a body. And body means it is constantly giving trouble, constantly disturbing the personality. How such a person is able to actually act living in this material world with so many kinds of disturbances? Still, he is able to situate himself, be Krishna conscious, and always remember Krishna. So that's the question that Arjuna actually asks in the Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna very nicely actually explains that the whole art of uh, living in this material world, living in this material body, is to somehow conquer not being disturbed by this or not being deviated by this mind and senses and still execute Krishna consciousness. That's the whole essence that Krishna actually speaks on to Arjuna. So in the similar stand here in this verse, we can see that Sukadeva Goswami is instructing Parikshit Maharaj that how a householder need to systematically conquer his mind and senses and thereby be Krishna conscious. Right? That's the biggest challenge for all of us, to be Krishna conscious always. That's a big challenge. Right? So we are all struggling to be Krishna conscious. Yes or no? We are simply struggling to remember Krishna. Right now, we are not in a position that we could remember Krishna. That's why we are called as fallen souls. Fallen souls means one who cannot remember Krishna all the time. One who cannot be Krishna conscious all the time. We are like, most of the time we have fallen down, and sometimes we actually rise up and then show that I'm there, I'm still trying to practice devotee, practicing devotee. But most of the time we are actually in the deep dark well, fallen down in consciousness. May not be physically. Physically, we may be sitting in the third floor of IBC. In consciousness level, we may be in the Patala Loka, maybe. Right? So that's how we are. That's reality, because we don't remember Krishna all the time. We forget Krishna very easily. We get absorbed in the material living so easily that if something gets presented to us, immediately we get distracted and go away in that direction. Right? Hardly be able to do something in proper consciousness, either chanting of the 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, or reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day, or taking association of devotees, reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita. None of it we are able to do it with full consciousness every day. It has been a great challenge and great fight for all of us with this mind and senses. Right? That's the reality that Parikshit Maharaj also knows it very well, and that's why he aptly questions Sukadeva Goswami that how is it that great exalted devotees are able to manage all these things? How did they actually do? He wanted to know, because he is sitting there in a deathbed, the 7 days of death notice, and he is trying to remember Krishna, right? So he doesn't want anything else. He has given up all his eating, sleeping, and all other businesses, and several things were proposed to him saying that do this, do that. That was not appealing to him at all. That he felt that he has to succeed in this life. He has to see that personality whom he has seen in his mother's womb. And he wanted to absorb his consciousness on that personality, nobody else. And so when Sukadeva Goswami walked in the arena, he accepted Sukadeva Goswami as a spiritual master and wanted to hear from him every bit of about Krishna. Right? And that's why he inquired that how is it that Priyavrata Muni was able to, uh, Priyavrata Manu was able to manage himself in household life, right? And the purport proper actually writes very nicely saying that the whole Varnashrama system is there to conquer the senses. That's the first statement Prabhupada actually made. The whole Varnashrama system, I remember the Nectar of Instruction preface Prabhupada actually writes saying that any path of transcendental life is meant to conquer mind and senses. Nothing actually happens without conquering mind and senses. If you let the mind actually go as it goes, if you let the senses go as it goes, you let your senses loose. When Krishna says, even if one of the senses is let loose, it's a big trouble for a practitioner, a yogi or a devotee. It's a big trouble for him, even if one of the senses is let loose. Right? So, controlling this mind and senses is something essential in the path of Krishna consciousness also. It is not that we can actually do whatever we like to do. Whatever I like to do, I will do. That is what is material life means. Material life means I will do whatever I like to do. You cannot question me. If somebody questions me, I'll hit them on the face. I'll give them back. That's what material life is, right? You go and see in the street today, so many people fight with each other. One car goer, one bike goer will come and then they will all fight nicely. You see that every day we have been seeing in Bangalore. So many people, they simply walk in the street and then they end up fighting. There is no reason for any quarrel that's actually happening in this material world. That's why it is called as the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, where everybody thinks that I am the king, I am the great of all that I survey. And everybody else needs to support my enjoyment. And any conflict happens, they fight. That's what Kali Yuga means. If we bring in the same attitude in devotional service also, then that's not really devotional service. Devotional service means to actually, the first thing Prabhupada says, a disciple means there should be discipline. Without discipline, there is no devotional service. So without putting an endeavor to conquer this mind and senses, there is no question of being in any ashrama. Whether it be brahmachari ashrama or grihastha ashrama or vanaprastha ashrama or sannyas ashrama, there should be a discipline. There need to be control of mind and senses. That's what it makes it to be ashrama. Ashrama is a place where people practice to remember Krishna. Right? That's ashrama. It's a practicing place. Brahmachari ashrama means a group of unmarried boys, they come together, try to remember Krishna. It's a struggle for them to control their, raging mind and senses. It is a struggle for them to remember Krishna. And a grihastha ashrama, there are opportunities to let senses loose and act whatever we like. Still, a grihastha should actually control his senses and be situated in a grihastha ashrama and remember Krishna, engage themselves in devotional service. That's their difficulty. And in vanaprastha ashrama, a person needs to try to detach himself from all kinds of material engagements and try to engage himself fully in Krishna conscious activity and preach Krishna consciousness. That's what sannyasa ashrama is all about. Though sannyasa is abandoned in Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they all established sannyasa ashrama for preaching purpose, where unconditionally a devotee goes out and preaches Krishna consciousness. That's the purpose of all this Varnashrama system. So Varnashrama Acharavate Purusheta Paratpuman Vishnu Aradhyate Pusan Nanya Tattosha Karanam. The whole Varnashrama system is there for actually remembering Krishna, remembering Vishnu. So even a Grihastha Ashrama, it's a struggle for them. It's simply a struggle for them to actually remember Krishna. Mataji, she was very happy before marriage. She is brought in here. And the Prabhu was very happy before marriage. They are brought in here. Now there is so much of tussle between them in Grihastha life. And over to that, children are brought in. Mother-in-law, father-in-law are brought in. Father and mother are brought in. Neighbors are brought in. Some place where they work, the people of that are brought in. And all of them, they need to actually keep them happy. Yet they need to remember Krishna. That's a struggle. It's a big struggle. It is not just a grihastha. In a brahmachari ashrama, a person needs to control only one mind, which is very tough to control. And in a grihastha ashrama, a person needs to control several minds which are coming in, which are all crazy minds. Right? Prabhupada says in material world, everybody is more or less crazy. Everybody is crazy in this material world, Prabhupada says. And all those crazy people are brought in one ashrama. And they all need to actually work together to remember Krishna. That's the big task we have all got. Maybe it's any ashrama, whether in brahmachari ashrama, there also two brahmacharis fight. They have different kinds of opinion, they fight. In grihastha ashrama, it's a big time fight. It's all time fight actually. Right? Husband and wife always fight, children always fight, parents always fight, nobody listens to anybody and everybody fights with each other. Everybody wants to become the lord of the home. Right? The wife wants to become the lord, she expects that husband should listen to me. A husband wants to become the lord and he says that I am the, family head. Right? I am the family head and everybody should listen to me. Everybody is trying to control here. That's what we see in this material world. It is all because of uncontrolled mind and senses. That's the only reason. Mind and senses, they want to control. That's the nature of mind. Nature of mind is to actually control. I want to dominate. I want to actually be the Lord. Krishna consciousness means like you go down. Material life means you actually try to go up. It's completely in a diverse direction. In a material life, a person wants to conquer other person. In Krishna consciousness, a person wants to serve other person. That's completely tangent thing. So that's why it is said that practicing Krishna consciousness in material world is like nahi ho payega. Very difficult. Because the tendencies are very, very clearly opposite. To practice something in spiritual life, in material world is very difficult. Right? That's why our acharyas say that very quickly you plan to go back to Godhead. Don't stay here. This is not a right place to actually practice Krishna consciousness. You should be simply lamenting and praying to Krishna, Krishna, when will you accept me? When will you accept me? This place where I am staying is a very nasty place. I am not able to actually stay here any longer. It's highly incompatible place for me to stay here. That's why Prabhupada always gives an example of fish inside on the land. It is not a compatible place at all for the fish to stay. This is not the right place for all of us to be. To practice Krishna consciousness is not a right place at all. There are so many problems, so many difficulties, so many challenges for a devotee even to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra properly, even in the Brahma Muhurta time, which is said to be the best of all times to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Even that time a devotee struggles to hear the Mahamantra when he chants. The devotee simply struggles, fights to remember Krishna here. This is not a conducive place at all. Right? The whole of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna actually spoke to Arjuna saying that don't try to actually find solutions in this material world. You will not be able to find solution here. There is no solution in this material world which is good. Everything is just a patchwork here. You keep putting patch over patch, just like our Bangalore roads. Right? There is always patch over patch that you see only patches there. There is no road. Material life is simply like that. There is always a patch. Just patch it up and keep going. You will not find a solution. Right? Husband and wife, they will find and they want to find a solution. There is no solution in any husband and wife fight. Right? We have Grahastha counseling, we actually do. We do Grahastha counseling, we hear from Mataji, we hear from Prabhu, and then only say, okay, just patch up and keep going. That's the solution. Just adjust each other and keep going. There is no solution, honestly to say. There is no solution in the material world which will actually give you a very peaceful, very pleasant, very. Krishna says this is not a pleasant place. Dukkha alaya, he calls it. This is a place filled with misery. All that you will find is one misery and another misery and another misery and another misery. There is no solution to it. Right? I was just reading. Okay, we'll put it here. So can you open Bhagavad Gita introduction? I just want to take one nice answer that Prabhupada actually says. The introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada actually brings in why this whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Like, what is the purpose of this Bhagavad Gita? And Prabhupada actually presented in a very nice way that why this Bhagavad Gita again needs to be translated in English and given a commentary for it, so that people actually take it in a very nice perspective. Yeah, okay. If you read this few paragraphs, the Prabhupada says, he says, just what is Bhagavad Gita? The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the miseries of material existence. That's the first sentence Prabhupada says. Is to deliver mankind from the miseries of material existence, which means material existence is full of ignorance, miseries, ignorance. Just a simple example is this material world is by default dark and a dense place. Unless there is a sunlight, this material world is by default dark. Darkness means ignorance. By default, you don't do anything, you will only fall down more and more down. You just simply go stand in the river, it will go take you to the ocean. You want to do anything in this material world, you have to swim against the current, against the nature of the material world. By nature, the material world is full of miseries. That's what Prabhupada says. Full of ignorance, full of darkness. You don't put any effort, you will go down. You will fall down further and further and further. If you think saying that, let me not put any effort for my Krishna consciousness, by default, I will become a Krishna conscious devotee. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that, Jivera Swarupo Hoy Krishnera Nitya Dasa. By default, I am a devotee of Krishna. I don't need to take any step to remember Krishna. I will remember Krishna naturally. That's not going to happen. Unless we put a conscious effort, nothing is going to happen here in this material world. We have to put some conscious effort. For something to happen in this material world, we have to put effort for it. Right? Just like a person who is constructing this building. It's an effort by so many people. They put effort to make a nice construction, and that construction lasts for 20 years and 30 years only. Every year, every month, there is degradation, and we have to do repair works. Yes or no? How many of you have a own house here? Okay, don't have to rise. Fine. Anybody who has a own house, we should ask them how much of repair work they actually do every year. How much of money they spend, how much of time they actually put to do the repair work to make things happen. Okay, forget about own house in Bangalore. Take your own body. To keep this body healthy and fit, how much of struggle we need to actually do. You don't do anything, you get so much of disease. By default, it comes. Without doing anything, you get diseases. If you want to keep your body fit, you have to do something. You have to keep doing something. And despite putting all the effort to keep your body fit, what you still face? Furthermore deterioration, furthermore disease. So even after putting so much of effort, still the body deteriorates. Then what to speak of trying to be remaining in Krishna consciousness? You don't put effort, you're gone, in fact. The material life will take you so badly. It will give you so many agendas in your day that you will never be able to open proper books and read these books. So much of agenda will come. Prabhuji, आपने proper book पढ़ा है क्या? Time नहीं है प्रभु. So busy प्रभु, time नहीं है. प्रभुपाद की लेक्चर सुनने का टाइम नहीं है, प्रभुपाद की बुक्स पढ़ने का टाइम नहीं है, जापा करने का भी टाइम नहीं है. One round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, if you chant, it's actually like a big achievement. 16 rounds as you chant every day. I finished my 16 rounds. That's what we think. It's a big achievement for us. Because we are practicing Krishna consciousness in a wrong place. Prabhupada actually reminds that every man is in difficulty in so many ways in this material world. As Arjuna also was in difficulty in having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra. Right? So Arjuna was also not in a nice, happy situation to hear Bhagavad Gita. Right? He didn't have a very nice, peaceful mind. Like kuch log bolte hai, like people say that I can read Bhagavad Gita only when I have a peaceful mind, Prabhu. I don't have a peaceful mind to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra today. When did Arjuna had a peaceful time? He was hearing all this Bhagavad Gita, the battlefield, waiting to kill his fathers, grandfathers, friends, brothers. In that situation, he heard Bhagavad Gita. Did Arjuna had a peaceful time to hear Bhagavad Gita? You had to sit under a fan, spread all the mat, and then sit here comfortably. Adjust your back. Okay, I don't have all my back pain, my knee pain. Adjust yourself. Like this. Sometimes we don't even have time to come to IBC. We hear it online. Sometimes we don't even hear online. You put on the Zoom and then put your name saying, I might put my utterance and then keep doing something else. All kinds of things happen while the class is going on. Right? Our Bhagavad Gita class, Bhagavatam class happens like that. Arjuna didn't have a very peaceful time to hear Bhagavad Gita. He had more problem than what we all think. He had to kill his own father, grandfather, and hear Bhagavad Gita. What a kind of life he had. Only when we put ourselves in Arjuna's shoes, we can actually experience that. Until we get into his shoes, we cannot actually experience it. His problems are much, much bigger than whatever problems that we are actually facing. Our problems are so tiny, in fact. All we have is a small headache, small stomach pain, little bit of fever, little bit of uncooperative family members, that's all. You can see Arjuna's case, like Arjuna's wife was stripped, attempted to be naked. They were looted. All their money, all their house were looted. They were set fire. We didn't have all these problems in our life. Our life is much, 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 much more pleasant than what we are thinking, that it's so difficult. It's our mind which actually makes it so difficult than what it is difficult. Right? This mind is a very, difficult thing to understand. We always think that there is so much of pleasure in this material world, because our mind makes us to think that this material world, there is so much of enjoyment. But when you go and do the enjoyment what the mind proposes, we never get that enjoyment. How many of you have experienced this? In your mind, when you actually experience, you get a lot of pleasure. When you go really do that, it is not a pleasure at all anymore. Because the mind projects as if saying that if you do this, you will get pleasure. But actually, there is no pleasure in it. When you go really do it, there is no pleasure in it. It's full of distaste. Right? Similarly, our mind also proposes so many things, saying that, oh, there is no difficulty that you are facing it. Nobody in the whole world has actually faced. You are facing the ultimate difficulty that nobody has actually faced. That's what mind will propose. You go and ask another person, he will think the same thing. That nobody is facing the amount of difficulty that I am facing. You go to the next person, he will also think the same. That's how mind actually constantly cheats us. Right? So Arjuna was no less. He also need to face so much of difficulty in this material world. And in the midst of all this difficulty, he heard Bhagavad Gita from. He didn't have a very pleasant time to hear, right? So Arjuna surrendered to Sri Krishna, and consequently this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Not only Arjuna, But every one of us is full of anxiety because of this material existence. So all the problem that we are facing today is because we are living in this material world. We have taken a body, we are living in this material world, and that's why all the problems are coming. So the main problem here is I have got a body, mind, and senses. That's my real problem, not somebody else. Somebody else is not a problem for me. My neighbor is not a problem. My wife is not a problem. My husband is not a problem. My children are not my problem. I am my real problem. As long as I have this material body, I live in this material world, I will have this one or the other difficulty. There is no use actually blaming somebody else, saying that because of you, I am actually facing all my troubles. There is no use of saying all these things. They are not the real problem makers in my life. My body and my mind, my senses are the problem maker. Though somebody might actually come and trouble me, I have the freedom to actually ignore them completely and do what I like to do. But still, I am not doing it. I am taking all these things very personally and thinking that this person has hate me. Oh, Baba, how can I actually live? It is the mind which is actually making it very personal. It is establishing the connection between me and this material world. That's the real connection. As long as we actually feel that we are very connected with this body and mind, we will face more and more problems in this material world. All the problems that we are facing in this material world because we are trying to establish connection. The more we feel connected and think that we are this material body, the more the problem we will face in this material world. The more we think saying that I am disconnected from this material world, I am a spirit soul, I am part and parcel of Krishna, let anything happen in this material world, hell with it, my only job is to remember Krishna, then the more the problem comes, the more we will ignore and go forward. That's the secret of it. Right? Our scriptures say that we are all holding the tail of a mad elephant. What will a mad elephant do? It simply goes and runs wherever it likes to do, and then it is very powerful. You cannot dominate the mad elephant. It is elephant, and over to it, it is mad. Right? We cannot conquer the mad elephant. It is like unconquerable. That's how our mind is also. You think you can subdue your mind. You think you can conquer, you can control, you can do things what you like to do. It never actually happens in this material world. It is, you are simply overpowered, dominated, controlled. But still we think I am the controller. Right? That's the difficult part of our living in this material world. We are simply being controlled, overpowered, dominated. That's what Krishna says here. That this mind is chanchala, pramati, balavat, dridam. Obstinate, Krishna says. Balavat, strong. You can never conquer your mind, Krishna says. But we are putting the effort. Time and again, we are actually putting the effort, thinking that one day I will become the master here and I will be the Lord here. People will think, people will listen to what I say. One day that will actually happen. Right? Even in Krishna consciousness also, we do the same thing. While preaching, we think saying that this person is my member, he has to listen to me what I say. If my member don't listen to what I say, hell with it. That's what we think. We don't think saying that I am trying to serve this person to become more Krishna conscious. My service to Srila Prabhupada is to actually serve this person so that he also becomes a devotee of Krishna and Prabhupada will be pleased with me by that service. We are doing service here. In Krishna consciousness, we are all actually doing service here. We request the person saying that please actually try to practice Krishna consciousness. If you don't listen to me, it is fine. Listen to somebody else and be Krishna conscious. I am fine with it. I have no problem. It is not that there is no compulsion for you to actually listen to me. I am not your master. I am your servant trying to help you, trying to serve you. You don't want to listen to me, very fine. You take help from somebody and then be Krishna conscious. That's what. That's what we are all here for. We are here to do service. Either you please accept my service, I will help you in your spiritual life. Otherwise, I'm fine. You please take somebody else's service and then you be Krishna conscious. That's what we are here doing it for. There is no what you call this is my member, this is my area, this is where I am preaching. You cannot come here and do things. No, that's not we are not here to put a geographical boundary. Prabhupada actually says a dog in the street never allows a third person to enter. Right? Boom, boom, boom. That's what it says. As soon as a third person comes here, it starts barking, starts biting. We are not here to actually do all these things even in Krishna consciousness. Right? So our job is very simple. We should develop distaste in this material world. The more we develop distaste in this material world, the more we feel that I am situated in an awkward position in this material world, the more we can easily remember Krishna. The more we try to adjust ourselves and make ourselves comfortable in this material world, the more difficult the material world will put difficulties upon us. Because the design of this material world is to make us realize saying that don't plan to stay here in this material world. That's the design. It is designed to actually push you with so many difficulties that you please surrender to Krishna. It is designed for that. We are given more and more difficulties in this material world only to actually come to a conclusion saying that I have to become a devotee of Krishna. That's the only solution. There is no other solution here other than becoming a devotee of Krishna. No solution at all. That's what Prabhupada is actually saying here. The whole purpose of this Bhagavad Gita being spoken is for us to actually come to an understanding saying that Are Baba, yahan kuch solution nahi hai. There is absolutely no solution in this material world. Simply take to chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Simply go and remember Krishna. That's the only solution. Any other solution is only a patchwork. And patchwork never lasts. That's why our Bangalore road never lasts. Right? They put patch next to rainy season, it becomes a pothole. Right? Well, India is the best place to practice Krishna consciousness. Still, India is the best place. People run from India to foreign countries thinking that my life will be more peaceful. But they don't get to remember Krishna there. Here you can remember Krishna very nicely. Thanks to BBMP for putting on nice roads, giving all kinds of problems to us in this material world. Kaveri supply gets disconnected, power supply gets disconnected. All that is there for us to help to remember Krishna. Right? There is no perfect place in this material world to live. It only actually, you will only actually feel saying that if I go from here to America, my life will be very peaceful. There, if I go, I have seen people like, when will I go back to India? It was so peaceful life there. You have an Indian congregation there, Kannadiga congregation, Tamilian congregation, Andhra congregation. They try come and meet each other, comfort each other. They get as if they want to get a feel saying that I'm living in India. They want to bring that feel there, even there. Yes or no? Yeah. So India is still the best place. Though you have a pothole, you have power cuts, you have this problem, that problem. It's the best place still in material world to practice Krishna consciousness at least. At least. You have so many devotees to actually visit, to associate with. You can go to Vrindavan, you can go to Mayapur, you can go to Puri, you can. Still there is an ample amount of opportunity to remember Krishna in India. The best place to go, best place to be, right? So continuing what Prabhupada says, actually we are not meant to be threatened by non-existence. Our very existence in this material world, our very existence in the atmosphere of non-existence. Prabhupada says this place is not a permanent place for us. You can never actually make yourself permanent. You can never settle down here. There is no settling down. Anything you put an effort to settle down, you'll only get unsettled. People think after marriage I'll become settled. That's when they become highly unsettled. People think saying that after I buy a 2 BHK, 3 BHK, I'll become settled. They become more and more unsettled. People think saying that if I buy this car, if I join this job, if I go to this place, if I reside in this area, I will become more happy. That's when they become more unhappy. People think saying that I will let me go to this place and live here, my health will actually improve. There they get deteriorated more. Any place, any situation, any circumstances in this material world, it will never give a solution to all our problems. Because this body is meant to deteriorate. You can, in any place, any situation, you cannot keep up this body in one good, nice situation. This is meant to actually degrade. It will degrade. It will age. Right? That's why we always say, I am 25 years old. We never say I am 25 years new, young. We say I am 25 years old, I am 40 years old, I am 60 years old. This is all to remind saying that I am going forward. I am getting aged. I am marching towards old age and death. That's why Bhagavatam says birth is an indication of death. As soon as a person is born, immediately he is marching towards death. His march towards death immediately starts. Everybody is simply marching towards death here. Everybody's body is deteriorating here. We don't have the body that we had 10 years before. It was so flexible. You could do all these things. You can dance in front of the Lord. 10 years before, it was so nice. Now it is. Agree or not? You don't have the same body that you had 5 years before, 10 years before. It is no more flexible. It is becoming more and more brittle. As you get more and more aged, it becomes more and more brittle, as if like you bend your back, it feels like it will break. That's what you get a feel. That's why old people cry saying that, oh Krishna, please take me back. I don't want to live in this material world anymore. But Krishna doesn't take them that easily. He keeps them in that body and makes them feel saying that I really want to go back home, back to Godhead. This is not the right place for me. That feeling should come. That's why material body is given. That's why this material situation is given to us. Just to come to an understanding saying that I don't want to live in this place. I want to go back home, back to Godhead. That's my only place where I can actually live happily. That's my real home. This is not my real home. This is a place filled with trouble. Right? So we'll continue reading what Prabhupada says. Actually, we are not meant to be threatened by non-existence. Our existence is eternal. So we are all eternal beings. We are all spirit soul. Eternally, we are servants of Krishna. We are meant to live in spiritual world. We are meant to live in full of happiness with Krishna. Not here. This is not the right place for us to live. So we need to constantly be in touch with Srila Prabhupada's teaching, simply to remind our mind saying that this is not the place where I need to live. Let me chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra properly. Let me go back home, back to Godhead. It's a reminder for us. Every day we need to read Srila Prabhupada books because we need to be reminded about this. If we don't read Prabhupada books every day, if we don't hear Prabhupada's lectures every day, it doesn't enter into this dull mind at all. It is constantly degrading us. Material world will degrade us for sure. That's why we need to be reminded of this fact every day. We need to read Bhagavad Gita every day. We need to understand saying that how this mind and senses is being cheating me. Simply cheating me. Right? But somehow or other, we are put in asat. Asat refers to that which doesn't exist. Right? It doesn't exist. This is a world which is temporary, and we think it is real. That's why Prabhupada says this. We are living in a dream world and we are dreaming. Right? First thing is that we are living in a dream. thinking that I am this body. I am a male, I am a female. That's why Prabhupada actually said when during proper times, people talked about women's liberation. Prabhupada immediately said, what is the question of liberation when you think you are a woman? There's no question of liberation at all. As soon as you think you are a woman, you are fallen down already. As soon as you think you are a man, you are fallen down already. There's no question of liberation for you. Liberation really comes when you start thinking, saying that I am a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. That's when your liberated life starts. Otherwise, everybody is bound in this material world by three modes of material nature. Right? Three modes of material nature are actually dancing us today here in this material world. And we think I am free. I think I am free in this material world, but we are all dancing by the strings of the three modes of material nature today. Nobody is exempt from it. Everybody is simply acting according to the nature of that is given. Acquired nature from material world, Prabhupada says. Acquired nature. We have acquired this nature. This is not our original nature. Our original nature is to be Krishna conscious. But now we have an acquired nature and we think saying that I am such and such. I am son. I am daughter of such and such. I belong to India. I belong to this Karnataka. I am an employee of such and such. Over to that, these days, our company also says, I am Infosys. I am Wipro. How many, yes or no? How many companies actually say? They already we have so much of nonsense on it. They put one more nonsense on it. So much of nonsense going on here. Simply nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. And this ISKCON centers are like oasis within that nonsense for us. At least when we come here, we get to breathe. I am a spirit soul. As soon as you step out, you forget it. When we come here, we get reminded, I am a spirit soul, I am part and parcel of Krishna. We open our eyes. At least for that, we should keep visiting. We should be in association of devotee. We should attend Bhakti Vriksha. We should attend Gita Gosas. We should attend Sunday Feast Festival so that we get reminded. This is reality, that is false. And we go back and we think this is false, that is reality. Right? That's what really happens. That's why we are all called as fallen souls. But we keep jumping here like a monkey. Monkey keeps jumping, right? So we all keep jumping here. Out of so many human beings who are suffering, there are few who are actually inquiring about their position as what they are, why they are put into this awkward position, and so on. Very few who are inquiring about all these things, Prabhupada says here. Right? Very few who are inquiring. If we take example of masses, then that's where people go. Just like in today is a world of Google's review. You want to go do anything, you look at the review. What do mass of the people say? I will follow that. Right? Unfortunately, the mass of people are outside. Unfortunately, very little devotees are inside. Unfortunately, very little amount of people follow the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, which is presented as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Unfortunately, if we go behind the mass of the people, you are again going back to the hell, because they are all marching towards hell. Prabhupada says they are in a fast track, swiftly going on a race car towards hell. That's where they are all going. You follow them, you go to the same destination. You want a different destination, follow the minority. Here, unfortunately, we are minority here today. India is supposed to be a place where Punya Bhumi. What does happen today in Punya Bhumi? Only Papa happens. See the majority of people who eat non-vegetarian. See the majority of people who go to pubs, drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, drink tea, coffee. Today we have a lot of tea, coffee brahmanas, non-vegetarian brahmanas. They call themselves as brahmanas, but they do all kinds of shit in this material world. They are example for us. That's what outside world is. We follow that mass of people, we are also going to hell. That's why it is very important that we follow the teachings of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who has made things very, very practical for people of this Kali Yuga. You simply follow his teachings, your life will be successful. Simply we need to follow his teachings. No need to add any masala to it. If you are calling yourself as an ISKCON devotee, the first thing that we need to do is read his books every day. Otherwise, there is no use calling ourselves as an ISKCON devotee, as a devotee of the Lord. We should read the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. It's very important. So that we get reminded of what we need to do every day. That's why Prabhupada says there are very few people who are actually following it today. Right? Unless one is awakened to this position of questioning his suffering, unless he realizes that he doesn't want suffering, but rather he wants to make a solution to all sufferings, then one is not to be considered a perfect human being. So unless we actually start questioning, saying that why all the sufferings are coming to me? What is the solution for all these sufferings that I am undergoing? We are not even on a human platform, Prabhupada says. We are much below even human platform. Human platform starts by this questioning of why all these things are happening to me. Unless we, every time when a problem comes in our life, unless we start thinking, saying that all these problems, shit is happening in my life because I'm not remembering Krishna. Because I'm not remembering Krishna, all these problems are coming to me. Maya Devi is giving so much of problems to me because she is helping me to remember Krishna. That's why she is giving problems to me. She's helping me, she's pushing me hard. Just like how a father and mother pushes a child hard to the school, Maya Devi is pushing us. She is the teacher here for us. Trying to push us and learn this lesson, saying that, Are Baba, become a devotee soon, then I will not trouble you. I need to trouble you because you are not a devotee. You are not practicing Krishna consciousness properly. That's why I am troubling you. That's why I am giving you all these problems. But we become so absorbed in problems and we forget Krishna. That's why Bhagavatam calls us as chewing the same old chewed. Right? Several lifetimes we are actually trying to solve problems of this material world, and this life also we are trying to solve problems only. One problem after another problem, we are trying to find solution. For this problem, apply this solution. For this problem, apply this solution. We are trying to only find solutions to all these problems. But Prabhupada says real solution is go surrender to Krishna. He is the real solution. Otherwise, there is no real solution here. Right? So Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, if we read, we are reminded about all these things. After hearing all these things, we go do the same old solution. That's why we are called as Griham Anda Kupam. We are living in a deep, dark well. Because though we hear saying that that's the Sharana, there is no other Sharana, there is no other Ashraya, apart from getting surrendered to Krishna, we still actually go do the same old thing what we have been doing for several lifetimes. Life after life after life after life, we have been doing the same thing, and this life also we want to waste doing the same old thing. We have no options. We are simply dragged by the ocean of material world. The waves of the material nature is dragging us. We don't know what we are doing, and time is getting wasted like that. And by the time you really wake up and see, oh Krishna, I have wasted all my time, and all my time has simply gone not remembering you. That's so material world cheats us, mind cheats us. They are cheaters, they are enemies of us. They are our real enemies. That's why in this verse, Sukadeva Goswami says a king means he makes a fortress against him and safeguards himself against all powerful enemies. He puts a fortress. We also need to build a fortress in the association of devotee, so that we get reminded about all these things every day. We need to be reminded about all these things, right? Humanity begins when this sort of inquiry is awakened in one's mind. And that awakening happens, that's when humanity begins, Prabhupada says. In Brahma Sutra, this inquiry is called as Brahma Jigyasa, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Every activity of human being is considered to be a failure unless he inquires about the nature of absolute. Everything is a failure. That's why Prabhupada says you put 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. All your amazing, beautiful, wonderful qualities that you have, all are zeros. Unless you become a devotee. Only when you become a devotee of Krishna, all the qualities that you have got in this material world or in the several lifetimes becomes something meaningful. When you engage that in the service of Guru and Krishna, that's when it gets some real value. If you have some capability given to you by Krishna, if you don't engage that capability and quality in the service of Krishna, it's a big zero. It's a waste of time. Because otherwise you will use all those capability, intelligence, your wonderful qualities for earning some money, which you cannot actually take it when you die. Right? You all heard of that Mahamurka story, right? All have heard of Mahamurka story. How many of you have not heard? So many of you have not heard Mahamurka story, yeah? Okay. So that's nice story. We're already running short. I'll make it quick. Anyway. There was a king. That king was very busy in conquering his enemies and expanding his kingdom. He was very busy with it. He had no time to think anything else apart from that. All the time he was thinking about, oh, this person is not listening to me. I have to conquer him. I have to wage a war against him. I have to conquer his kingdom and I have to rule there. He was all the time thinking about it. And one sage actually came to his kingdom. He came to the courtyard of the king and he wanted to enlighten the king. But the king was not paying any attention to that sage. The sage was trying to actually preach to him. He was not paying any attention. Just like how when we go preach to some people today, they don't pay attention at all. They are so absorbed in so many things. We are also in the same category only. When we come and hear Bhagavatam class, when we hear from devotees, we hear all these things, we forget everything. So, not just applies to others also, it applies to us also. So let's apply it for now on us. Why think about somebody else, right? So let's apply it on us first. And there's so much of teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam that is there with us, still it doesn't enter into our mind and still we don't do all these things. Let's restrict ourselves with that. So the king was actually so absorbed, he was not paying any attention to the sadhu, he was not hearing him at all. Then the king actually said, okay, king, you didn't hear to me, fine, no problem at all. I will request you to do one thing. You do that, that is enough for me. Right? So the sage actually said, saying that in your whole province, you find the biggest fool. Right? What he has to find? Biggest fool. In your whole of the province, you find one big fool, give him a stick, ask him to go around the city every day, right? Pay him nice salary, pay him food, give him nice shelter, provide him everything that he needs, but all he has to, that fool has to do is go around the city every day with that stick. That's all. Simple task. Can you do this? Yes, yes, I can do. So the king agreed to that sage. The sage went. And the king asked his ministers, oh, minister, find a big fool, give him a stick, pay him salary, take care of him, make sure of. The sage said that to me, let's do it. Minister executed, he found a fool, and the fool was also on task. He was going around the city every day. So now many years passed, decades passed. The king was in his deathbed almost. He was trying to meet every person whom he knows. And he was trying to actually thank them for whatever service they did to him, for all the help, all the support they did to make him a famous king. So he was started thanking everybody. But he felt saying that he didn't meet one person, and that was this fool. So he ordered his minister, come, go get that fool. I want to meet him. He has done so much of service for me all these days. The sage gave me that service. He has been doing that honestly, sincerely every day. I want to reward him now. So the fool was called in. And the fool came in. The king was his deathbed. And the fool came and the king started saying that, oh fool, thank you so much for all your service that you have been doing. Now I have to go away. So I give you retirement. You pass on this stick to someone, another big fool, so that this tradition goes on. This parampara goes on. So you pass on this stick to another big fool. So the fool started, where are you going away? Oh, I have to go. Everybody has to go one day. I also need to go. I'm very verge of my life. I have to go now. Oh, you have to go very far. Oh, yes, yeah, understand. I'm going very far. If you understand that much, okay. I'm going really very far. Now you pass on the stick. What I told, do that, fool. So then the fool started inquiring, you're going very far. So you should definitely take some chariot. You take your horses that you take, because you should make sure your journey is very comfortable there. Take lot of prasadam, fruits, this, that, or take all of that with you. Arey fool, I cannot take all of this with me. I cannot take a chariot with me. I cannot take all my servants with me. I cannot take any fruits with me. Oh, maybe there are some, you cannot take this fruit. At least take a lot of gold coins with you. No, on the way, if you get hungry, you can buy something. If you get thirsty, you can take some water. Take a lot of gold coins with you. The king. My minister found the right person. My minister did not make any mistake in appointing you as the fool, greatest fool, Maha Murka of this whole province. He did the right thing. Then the fool started asking, you cannot take your chariot, you cannot take any of your servants, you cannot take food, you cannot take water, you cannot take any of your gold coins, you cannot take any dress, you cannot take anything with you. Then why the hell did you actually do so many things in this world all these years when you cannot take any of these things? I see that you are the biggest fool. He gave the stick to the king. The king, like, you started opening his eyes very bright, you know. What is this fool saying? He seems to be saying something real. This seems to be the reality of the whole world. The king started feeling, saying that this person doesn't seem to be like a fool. He really seems to be something like a very enlightened person, because not everybody gets this real understanding. Then the king started inquiring, who are you? Then the Murka, he started introducing himself, saying that you remember that sage who came to your kingdom, who tried to teach you all these things, you never paid attention to all these things. I am his disciple. And my spiritual master, what he told, one day you will get an opportunity to preach to you. That day you preach to him. Until then, you be around him. So the fool, in the disguised as a fool, he was actually roaming around the city, waiting for that one day opportunity to preach to this king. Right? Never know if we will get such kind of a fool in our life. Right? So let's not wait for all this situation to happen. We are all that Mahamurka, like that king, spending time after days, years after years, wasting for so many things which we cannot take end of our life. Yes or no? Whatever we are wasting our time for, we cannot take even a single farthing. And why waste our time? We are the biggest of all fools. That's why Prabhupada calls us fools as rascals. No wonder there's nothing wrong about Prabhupada calling us. This is the real reality. Right? We'll quickly finish off this under one more paragraph of what Prabhupada says here. Therefore, those who begin to question why they are suffering and or where they come from or where they go shall go after death are proper students for understanding Bhagavad Gita. They are real proper students, not the one who actually wants to memorize slokas and chant so many verses of slokas and project themselves as like, I am a great Mahabhagavata, I know all the verses of Bhagavad Gita, but no, don't have any understanding of the real purport behind it. Right? That is not the purpose why we are reading Bhagavad Gita. The whole purpose of we reading Bhagavad Gita is to apply it in our life. Apply it in our life and bring about some change in our life for our own betterment, for our own spiritual life. Right? That's why we are reading it. The sincere student should also have a firm respect for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a student was Arjuna. Right? One more last paragraph we will read. Lord Krishna descends specifically to re-establish the real purpose of life when man forgets that purpose. Even then, out of many, many human beings who awaken, there may be one who actually enters the spirit of understanding this position, and for him, this Bhagavad Gita is spoken. Right? For this reason, Prabhupada also translated this whole Bhagavad Gita so that we get the real essence of what Krishna is trying to present to Arjuna. Actually, we are all swollen by the tigress of nescience. We are all swollen by nescience. But the Lord is very merciful upon living entities, especially human beings. To this end, he spoke Bhagavad Gita, making his friend Arjuna his student. Being an associate of Lord Krishna, Arjuna was above ignorance, but Arjuna was put into ignorance on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to question Lord Krishna about the problems of life, so that the Lord could explain them for the benefit of the future generations of human beings and chalk out the plan of life. Then man could act accordingly and perfect the mission of human life. So the human life's mission is to understand who Krishna is, re-establish our relationship with Krishna, and go back home, back to Godhead. That is the purpose of every ashrama. May it be Brahmachari ashrama, Grihastha ashrama, Vanaprastha ashrama, or Sannyas ashrama. The whole agenda for all human beings is to go back home, back to Godhead, knowing our real connection with Krishna. There is no other business that we have all got apart from this business. Anything that we are doing apart from this is all our deviations from this standard mean. It's a deviation. It's a waste of time. It's a foolish thing, nonsense thing that we are all doing it. Anything else that we do apart from it. So at least let's take this instructions from Bhagavad Gita. Even if we could not mend our life so in a profound way, at least in our consciousness, at least in our core heart of our heart, let us develop some desire saying that I need to become a devotee of Krishna by end of this life. Somehow or other, I need to become a devotee of Krishna. I know I don't have things favorable for me in this life. There are so many things unfavorable for me. But let me struggle. Let me fight. Let me put effort to remember Krishna. I will fail. Let me fail. But let me get up again and remember Krishna. 1,000 times, million times, billion times, let us fall down. But let's not lose hope. Let us not give up in getting up and again standing up to remember Krishna. That effort we can do. There is full of hope in Krishna consciousness. Even at the moment of death, if we remember Krishna, Krishna will accept us. Krishna will accept us. Krishna will never leave upon us. But let's practice that in such a way so that at least in the end of our life, we will remember Krishna. For now, we need to practice for that. Let me practice. Let me slowly increase my effort in remembering Krishna. Let me put every day, I will take small step in remembering Krishna. The more smaller step that we take, it is something like a child saving one rupee in its piggy bank. One day it will become 100 rupees. One day it will become 1,000 rupees. One day it will become so much a big sum amount, sizable amount, that it will get noticed by the Lord. Krishna will notice that small effort, 1 rupee that we are actually putting in every day. Let's put that 1 rupee. Let's invest that small effort that we are putting in. Never give up. Never actually lose your heart thinking that, oh, I have committed all these sins. Krishna will not accept me. Krishna will neglect me now. No. Krishna never loses hope on us. Just like a parent always has a hope on the child, thinking that one day my child will change. Yes or no? Every parent will have a hope on their child, saying that one day my child will change. Similarly, our Father Krishna is also hoping on us, thinking that one day I will change. And Krishna is waiting for that. He's simply waiting, when will we change? When will we turn our face towards him? He's simply waiting on us. So every small effort that we take, Krishna remembers that. To do a small service here, whether somebody else notices us our service or not, Krishna actually notices it. He is there in our heart. He notices it always. He never misses to notice even the smallest thing that we have done. Right? We devotees, we might have not noticed you what all service you have done in Janmashtami. You may not have got enough recognition for all your services. We may miss to notice you. We are every organizer is a limited human being still, struggling to actually do services. They may have missed to notice your service and they may not have recognized you, but Krishna will notice it. He has noticed it. He has marked you. All of us, he has marked us, and he never loses hope on us. He will always have a hope, thinking that one day this child will turn towards me and listen to me, and he is waiting for it. Right? So let's not break Krishna's hope upon us. Let's put some small effort for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, for the pleasure of all the Vaishnavas. Let's all of us put whatever effort we can put in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day, reading Srila Prabhupada's books every day. It's a struggle, but let's struggle. Let's struggle to actually achieve the struggle of trying to stay afloat in Krishna consciousness. Right? Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. I don't know if I have time for any questions, comments. Maybe I'll take one or two, and I think I will start my time. Yes.
My spiritual life. I also personally feel like my vibration level is different when I'm it's completely different.
We're all with you.
And it is very important to build rapport with all the colleagues.
You are the best person to balance it. It's very simple. Maintain a decent, professional, friendly relationship with your colleagues in an office. Don't present yourself saying that, oh, I'm a devotee of Krishna, you're all bullshit. You are not devotee of Krishna, you are rascal, fool. I cannot talk to you, I will not spend time with you, I will not have lunch with you. No. Let's be like a normal person who how others are with them. 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock or whatever time you are in office, let's be with them, friendly, whatever we can. Out of your 9 o'clock and 6 o'clock, you'll be a devotee. You give all your rest of your life, weekend for Srila Prabhupada. Try to give all of your life for Srila Prabhupada. That small 9 hours or 8 hours that you spend, it is not that you forget Krishna and you be along with them. You remember Krishna, but you make sure you don't break your 4 regulative principles. You break your sinful life, engage yourself in sinful life. Put a little bit of boundary for your own self, saying that I can do a lot of things except for these things. Please don't disturb me in these things. I am fine with anything else apart from this. Right? I cannot go and take food along with you because I have a diet. I am a diseased person. Say that I have my stomach problem, this problem, that problem. I cannot eat outside food. I prefer having home food. I am fed up with all these restaurants. I don't have any taste for them at all. I am very contented, very happy with my home food. So don't offer me anything. I'm very happy. If I eat my tiffin dabba, I'm good enough, happy with it. Even if you bring rasagulla, jalebi, badusha, gulab jamun, all these things, I'm fine. Hare Krishna, I'm happy with it. You eat whatever you bring, I will eat whatever I have brought. Right? If you get time, if your office allows, hear nice kirtan and do your work. Right? Hear nice proper structures and do your work. If things allow for you. Right? If not, whatever nonsense you want to do in your office hours, do all those nonsense. Then try not to forget Krishna. Try not to break your 4 regulative principles so much so that when you come home, it becomes so difficult for you to practice Krishna consciousness. Right? Be neutral in your office and be positive at home and be good devotee. Don't go negative at office. That becomes problem. It affects your positivity in Krishna consciousness. Okay? Someone else have any comments? Keep struggling, Mataji. There's no other option. Right? Even many of Prabhupada disciples, they had very tough time to please Prabhupada, but they never gave up struggling. There are so much effort. Like once Prabhupada was hungry. He was sick and he was hungry in a train. And he wanted to eat some hot rice, puri, kind of like that. Where will you get in the Indian train all these things? But devotees somehow managed to actually capture the kitchen of the train. They cooked for Srila Prabhupada and then they brought hot puris, hot rice for Prabhupada. Do you think it is possible in Indian railways today? The same way, it's a struggle for everybody. To serve and please our Srila Prabhupada, it's not easy. Anything in either in material life or spiritual life, it's a struggle only. Is material life very easy? Absolutely not. It is so difficult in material life. Similarly, never think spiritual life will be very easy. It will be difficult. To please Srila Prabhupada, to go out and distribute Srila Prabhupada books, to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the streets and make somebody a devotee. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, saying that to make one person a devotee, we have to spend 200 gallons of blood. We don't even have how much liters of blood? Any doctor is there? Any doctor? To my knowledge, it's around 5-6 liters of blood. 5 liters of blood is what we have. 1 gallon is like 2.2 liters. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said 200 gallons you spend it. Right? Our capacity itself is 5 liters. And he is asking us to spend how much liters? 200 into 2.2 is what? 500 liters. You spend 500 liters from 5 liters. How can we do it? Right? To serve a spiritual master is like that only. They will give you, like my spiritual master used to often say, like, Srila Prabhupada gave me a service which doesn't have any boundary. He said, make the whole world Krishna conscious. Right? If somebody says that make Marathahalli Krishna conscious, Bangalore a Krishna conscious, at least you have a boundary. But if it's a whole world Krishna conscious, there is no boundary for it. The spiritual master always gives such a task to us. If we take anxiety of such a task, and if we actually keep meditating just like how Srila Prabhupada meditated on his spiritual master's instruction, that's a purification for us. Prabhupada meditated on his spiritual master's instruction for decades and decades and decades, 50 years or more, and then he actually was able to do something for Srila Prabhupada, for his spiritual master. It took decades and decades of meditation. Similarly, we should all have simply meditate saying that I am unqualified to serve my spiritual master, but my spiritual master has given me this task. What can I do? Prabhupada was meditating like just like that. The day before he mounted Jaladuta, he went to Shantipur and he was crying, saying that my spiritual master has asked me to go to the Western countries and preach there. I am not the right person to actually do that. How will I actually do it? My spiritual master has given me this task. I have to do it. I have no option other than trying for it. Let me try. But for it to become success or a failure, it's up to you. That's what he wrote in Markine Bhagavad Dharma. For me to become successful or not, it's up to you. You make my words suitable so that these people can actually understand your message, he said. It is not my message. It is your message. Krishna's message. Let these people become capable of understanding your message. You make me dance in such a way so that they become devotees. If I become an instrument in all these things, I will think saying that my life has become successful. I could do some justice to what my spiritual master wanted me to do. Simply, we have to become an instrument in the hands of our spiritual master. We should simply pray saying that how will I do? How will I do? How will I do? Or please give me strength to do. Please give me intelligence to do. I am a fool number one. I cannot do all these things. You please actually help me. So that prayerful mood, that longing to actually do that simple service that we have been given with, is actually purifying for us. So we should simply long, we should simply pray. Krishna consciousness is all about praying to the Lord, saying that please engage me in your devotional service. It's a prayer, it's a humble effort, it's a request, it's a petition, saying that please engage me. Let's continue to meditate upon it so that one day or the other we will become a sincere servant, faithful servant of our spiritual master, faithful servant to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, so that we will all actually one day be accepted by our acharyas and taken back home, back to Godhead, and we can serve the Supreme Lord happily, blissfully, with all our capacity there. Right? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.